Everyone wants to hear what Warren Buffett has to say.
The Oracle of Omaha, building his image and having some fun.
Berkshire shares have increased more than 2,000% in value.
One of the largest market capitalizations in the world, and it could grow a lot larger since Warren Buffett shows no sign of slowing down.
So how did he do it? By investing in what he knows and understands. Good old-fashioned American brands like Coca-Cola, Fruit of the Loom, and Dairy Queen.
What inspired you?
This inspired me. Rule number one, never lose money. Rule number two, never forget rule number one. If you're emotional about investment, you're not going to do well. You may have all these feelings about the stock. The stock has no feelings about you. The biggest thing in making money is time. You don't have to be particularly smart. You just have to be patient. I was genetically blessed with a certain wiring that's very useful in a highly developed market system where there's lots of chips on the table. And, I happen to be good at that game. Ted Williams wrote a book called The Science of Hitting, and in it he had a picture of himself at bat and the strike zone broken into, I think, 77 squares. And he said if he waited for the pitch that was really in his sweet spot, he would bat 400, and if he had to swing at something on the lower corner, he would probably bat 235. And in investing, I'm in a no-called strike business, which is the best business you can be in. I can look at 1,000 different companies, and I don't have to be right on every one of them or even 50 of them. So I can pick the ball I want to hit. And the trick in investing is just to sit there and watch pitch after pitch go by and wait for the one right in your sweet spot. And if people are yelling, swing you bum, ignore them. There's a temptation for people to act far too frequently in stocks simply because they're so liquid. Over the years, you develop a lot of filters. And I do know what I call my circle of competence. So I stay within that circle, and I don't worry about things that are outside that circle. Defining what your game is, where you're going to have an edge, is enormously important. Einstein is reputed to have said that compound interest is the eighth wonder of the world or something like that. And it goes back to that story you probably learned when you were in grade school where somebody did something for the king, and the king said, "What can I do for you?" And he said, "Well, let's take a chessboard and put one kernel of wheat on the first square, and then double it on the second, and double it on the third." And the king readily agreed to it, and by the time he figured out what 2 to the 64th amounted to, he was giving away the entire kingdom. So it's a pretty simple concept, but over time, it accomplishes extraordinary things.
What are the key indicators you look for within companies before making an investment?
Well, I look for something that does give them a moat around it. We have a company called See's Candy out on the West Coast. See's Candy is boxed chocolates. If you give a box of See's chocolates to your girlfriend on the first date and she kisses you, we own you. I mean, we can raise the price tomorrow and you'll buy the same box. You're not going to fool around with success. So the key there is the response. You do not want to go home on Valentine's Day and say to your wife or your sweetheart, preferably they're the same person, you don't say, "Here, honey, I took the low bid." It doesn't work. Price is, to a degree, is immaterial. If you've got an economic castle, people are going to come and want to take that castle away from you. And you better have a strong moat. You better have a knight in the castle that knows what he's doing.
Everyone wants to hear what Warren Buffett has to say.
The Oracle of Omaha, building his image and having some fun.
Berkshire shares have increased more than 2,000% in value.
One of the largest market capitalizations in the world, and it could grow a lot larger since Warren Buffett shows no sign of slowing down.
So how did he do it? By investing in what he knows and understands. Good old-fashioned American brands like Coca-Cola, Fruit of the Loom, and Dairy Queen.
What inspired you?
This inspired me.
I'm what you like. Is that what
Yeah, absolutely. Today, the Coca-Cola Company will sell almost 2 billion 8-ounce servings of one form or another of Coca-Cola products. Now, if you get an extra penny a day, a penny a serving, that's $20 million a day. That's $7.3 billion a year from 1 penny more. When you own Coca-Cola, you own a little piece of the minds of billions and billions of people. That is really good.
Who's got the most $100 bills these days? Well, his name is Warren Buffett in this country, and he has just displaced his friend Bill Gates as the richest businessman in the world.
And the purpose of Wednesday's meeting was to discuss Buffett's company, Berkshire Hathaway's plan to purchase railroad giant Burlington Northern. Valued at $26 billion, this would be Buffett's largest acquisition ever.
He's created Berkshire from virtually nothing into hundreds of billions of dollars of market cap. Nobody else has a record like that.
I have the pleasure of introducing a good man whose great decision is going to change the world, Warren Buffett.
A remarkable decision tonight from one of the richest men in the world. Mega billionaire Warren Buffett says he is giving away most of his fortune to charity.
Buffett has pledged to give away the bulk of his fortune to the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, and giving more than 15% of his money to foundations started by his 3 children and his late wife, Susan.
One global health activist called what Buffett did today one of the most remarkably selfless acts that history will ever record.
That's a better hand than I got at a Berkshire Hathaway meeting. I'd like to thank you for coming. It's a great day for me. It's a great day for my family. My wife, Susie, and I had planned that whatever I made would go back to society. And originally, I thought she would outlive me and that she'd make a big decision on it. But since her death, I had to rethink the best way to get the money into society and have it used in the most effective way. And I had a solution staring me in the face.
It was completely out of the blue. I mean, amazing. The largest single gift ever given was what he gave away that day.
First 3 letters are easy to sign. I just signed Dad.
In my entire lifetime, everything that I've spent will be quite a bit less than 1% of everything I make. The other 99% plus will go to others because it has no utility to me. So it's silly for me to not transfer that utility to people who can use it. It's doing me no good. The world is a great movie to watch, but you don't want to sleepwalk through life. The important thing to do is to look for the job you would take if you didn't need a job. And life is wonderful then. I mean, you know, you jump out of bed in the morning because you're really looking forward to the day. I have, for over 60 years, been able to tap dance to work just because I'm doing what I love doing. And I just feel very, very lucky. Okay, class dismissed.
Do you fear death?
No, I don't. I've had a terrific life. I feel, you know, it's going to happen. And I have no idea what happens after it. I'm an agnostic. So, it may be terribly interesting. It may not be interesting at all. We'll find out. But physically, I'm pretty well depreciated. I'm getting down to salvage value. But it really doesn't make any difference at all. It doesn't interfere with my work. It doesn't interfere with my happiness. It doesn't interfere with my thinking. I don't feel any diminution in my enjoyment of life or enthusiasm for life at all. In fact, in a sense, the game that I'm in gets more interesting all the time. It's a competitive game. It's a big game. And I enjoy the game a lot.